What's up, boys? Hello. I still don't have a standard YouTube intro. I'm PokemonChallenges and probably the best Nuzlocker in the world, and today we're going to be going over the best ROM hacks. For those of you who don't know, a ROM hack is a modified version of a Pokemon game that changes some things about the game. We've played a lot of these on my channel over the years, and I think it's time to kind of rate them. A couple of ground rules, I guess, and disclaimers. I have not casually played any of these except for two of them because they're a little bit different. However, they'll mostly be rated on like how much fun are these games to Nuzlocke from my perspective. The tier list will be based on how much I personally like the game, but additionally to that, I will give you like a personal recommendation to who should be playing this game and whether or not you would be having fun with this game. Oh yeah, hey guys, do you see all those cool people here? Look at all those cool people making funny memes and all those dittos. You see that? If you want to do that too, go watch my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/PokemonChallenges to join us and watch our Twitch stream. I'm live like every day-ish. Also, you're probably not subscribed to the YouTube channel statistically, so make sure to subscribe. You're thinking right now, hey, but I am subscribed because I always get your video recommendations, but you're actually not. So go click the sub button. We're pretty close to 100K. It's pretty exciting. Go make sure to get us there. Thank you so much. Make sure to leave a like and a comment or something. I don't know. Algorithm. Okay, let's get into it. Let's go. So, oh yeah, one more quick disclaimer. There's two games on this tier list that I have started but not finished. I'll just be rating it as of like so far, how much do I like them. Starting out with the beautiful, the amazing Pokemon Bloody Platinum. That is a old as frick game. God damn, we haven't played this game in a very long time. This game was pretty terrible. The level curve is awful. The new custom sprites are awful. Okay, yeah, Bloody Platinum, terrible game, awfully balanced. The redeeming quality of Bloody Platinum, however, is the Elite Four. With its edgy, dark sprites, all the shadow forms of the legendaries. The Elite Four in this game was fun as heck to fight. It was so goddamn cool. Because the entire Elite Four just has Ubers, and you gotta plan around those. It was super exciting, I'm not gonna lie. That is actually a redeeming quality. The main thing about Bloody Platinum, though, is there is no reason to play it because Renegade Platinum exists. So I think Bloody Platinum is not F tier because it has a really fun Elite Four, and it is it's a huge difficulty increase. So if you're looking for something that's just like a massive early game difficulty increase, it can be cool. Some of the early game encounters are kind of fun, but I think for the most part, it's a horribly balanced mess of a game. Moving on to Fire Red Omega. One of the many Drayano hacks on this list. In fact, every single Drayano hack is on this list, and we're going to talk about all of them in a row here. These are all made by legendary hack maker Drayano, fantastic person. We're going to look into all of these. So, Fire Red Omega was fun. It had like the cool new starters. However, it definitely shows that this is Drayano's oldest game for sure. It's got like none of the quality of life features that his newer games have. I would say the balancing isn't as good. And especially now that we're playing Radical Red right now, it's just very obvious how dated this game is. However, it is pretty fun. The early game encounters are cool. There's a lot of like starters you can get early on and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a pretty fun game. It's just nothing special really. I would put it in solidly like B tier. It's like decently difficult, but not like insanely difficult. I think if you're looking to start like a ROM hack Nuzlocke, this might be one of the better points to start at because it's decently balanced. It's got some interesting stuff and it's not that difficult. Although it's obviously a huge step up from the vanilla games, right? Oh, I guess something I should explain is that most, if not all of these games are so-called enhancement hacks. So they're like the base game, but they add a bunch of Pokemon and a bunch of features and a bunch of difficulty by making all the trainer fights and all the boss fights harder. That's what almost all of these games are, including all the ones by Drayano. That's like what all of these are except for like a very select few. So we're obviously rating off of that. That's like mostly what we play on this channel, right? So if you're looking for like a decent enhancement hack that's not too difficult and doesn't have too many new features, Fire Red Omega is a great place to start. Sacred Gold Storm Silver. Now, one thing to note about this game is there is an update coming for this game to make it more in line with the features that Renegade Platinum, Drayano's newest hack, has. But I think even without the update of this game, this is an S-tier ROM hack. I think this is a fantastic ROM hack. Even without any like crazy features, Drayano somehow managed to basically make all of the fundamental flaws of Johto go away by just rebalancing the game. If you want to see why exactly I don't like Gen 2, you can click the video in the top right. This game is so good. Fantastic encounter variety. Awesome creative enemy teams. The changes of pacing by just making like very small adjustments to the story and adding a few fights adds so much to this game. It's so good. For like recommending it to people, I think this is still Drayano's best hack, and it's only going to get better with the update that's going to come out soon. Have a look out for that. Maybe wait to play it until the update is out. Make sure to follow Drayano on Twitter to see when it comes out. And yeah, this is a fantastic game. I really, really love this game. Moving on to Rising Ruby. I think this is Drayano's worst hack. It's not bad. It's a fun 3DS hack. It just doesn't really add any features that you would like to see. It doesn't really change that much about the game. And I think the difficulty curve is kind of bad. It's decently difficult, and grinding on 3DS can be awful sometimes. Also, just like it's not that accessible because it's a 3DS hack. It's a cool attempt at like Drayano making a 3DS game, but I feel like this had like so much more potential. It's just that you're so limited in what you can do, right? And it kind of shows. I mean, like if you're looking for an enhancement hack of Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, like it'd probably go for this one. Although there's also like Rutile Ruby, right? I haven't played that one. Grinding in this game really, really sucks, and I think other than that, it's fine. There's just not much Drayano could have done. And I'm not a fan of Oraz in general, which is probably why I kind of look down on it a little bit. I think this is a C-tier ROM hack. There's nothing like... I feel like to make a good 3DS hack, you have to go like above and beyond, though. At this point, I'm not really sure. Although I've seen some bits from Supernova Sun and Penumbra Moon that looked really cool. So yeah, looking into that could be interesting. But I think for now, I just don't think it adds that much to the games. I think I would rather play a lot of other Drayano hacks. All right, Renegade Platinum is Drayano's newest hack. It has the most features, including like a little NPC that you can grind your Pokemon on, that you can EV train on. There's a thing in a lot of these hacks that we're going to talk about probably when we talk about Radical Red or Insurgents. What I want to talk about with that is feature creep and like giving the player too many options, which sounds stupid. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to Insurgents and Radical Red. With giving the player too many options to like EV train and remove EVs and re-EV train and change natures and change abilities and all that, you add so much to make you play optimally for when you're Nuzlocking that it becomes a bit of a chore. I didn't feel that much that way with Renegade Platinum though. It's definitely Drayano's easiest hack, I think. I would highly recommend anyone play this game. I think it's awesome. I think the few little things it adds to the story and stuff add a lot. And it's just a great ROM hack of a great game. I think it's an A-tier hack. I think I have some problems with it. I think it's a little bit too easy. But I think for the most part, I would highly recommend this hack to pretty much anyone. Moving on to Volt White and Blaze Black. This is my favorite Drayano hack. I personally had more fun with this than I did with Storm Silver. It's definitely his hardest hack, for sure. And I wouldn't recommend it to most people unless you're like super advanced, but hardcore Nuzlocking, this ROM hack was so much fun. The early game of this game is so hard, but it's like so like skill capped, or like there's so much you can do and there's so many cool tricks. The encounter variety is huge and perfectly balanced. Everything, there's like so much to get. All of the double and triple and rotation battles, once you get used to them, are so fun to like vary between and get all the different strategies for it. Such a fantastic game. I wouldn't recommend it to a beginner. I would say start with Sacred Gold, Storm Silver, or probably Renegade Platinum. I love this hack so much. I just had so much fun with it. So many of the fights were so fun to do. The Lenora fight and the Berg and how brutal that stuff is. And once you get past it, you go into the mid game, and I don't know. I also just really love Gen 5, which is probably why this is so high up for me. Moving on, Volt White 2, Blaze Black 2. I only played the challenge mode of this game, which was surprisingly easier than Volt White, Blaze Black. And the early game of this is really awkward because you basically, if you play challenge mode, you need exactly like 1 of 3 encounters to get past the first gym, and otherwise you just don't get past the first gym if you're Nuzlocking. Or if you're itemless Nuzlocking, hardcore Nuzlocking, whatever. It's good. It's Gen 5. I would put it in A tier, probably below Renegade Platinum because it just doesn't have any of the cool features. I really love Black and White 2. It's my favorite like vanilla Pokemon game. I just didn't get the same sense of like really cool balance and difficulty curve that I got from Volt White, Blaze Black 1 with this game, which is why I'm putting it in A tier instead. I've never played it without challenge mode though, so without that it might be different, but still like the second and third gym leader are so much easier in this game too. All right, and then we have on this list my own hack, actually, the Pokemon Emerald Trash Lock Edition. This is obviously an S tier game. Go play it. Click the video to learn all about that. It's basically a game where we took Emerald and we took out all the good Pokemon and you can only catch bad Pokemon. It's cool. We're working on a Leaf Green version for it too. Go check it out sometime. I'd recommend it. Oh yeah. Oh, this hack was so cool. This is one of the 2 on this list that we did not Nuzlocke. I like to keep my eyes open for ROM hacks that are like weird and completely different, like conceptually, and this is one of those ROM hacks. Basically, the concept of this game is, and my playthrough of this is on YouTube, by the way, is it's just a bunch of Pokemon escape room puzzles where you're warped into a situation with like a team and like in the overworld, and maybe you can catch Pokemon or something, and you need to escape the situation with what the tools that you're given. It's like the VR missions in Metal Gear Solid. It's a really, really cool concept for a game. It's not done like perfectly or anything. I still think this has a lot of potential, but I think as like a proof of concept of like what ROM hacks don't always just have to be the exact same formula as other Pokemon games, I think it's really cool. It's a really creative Pokemon game, and I would highly recommend everyone check it out just to see like what other kinds of ROM hacks are out there. I think this is an A tier game. I think it has its flaws. It's not done perfectly. Some of the missions are really easy. But some of them are real head scratchers, and I love them. Pokemon Blue Kaizo is my favorite Pokemon ROM hack of all time. In fact, so much that I'm going to make a whole new tier for it. I think the Kaizo games by Sinister Hooded Figure are fantastic, and this game is the perfect example for it. I think Sinister Hooded Figure is an absolute genius with the way that he makes hacks, the way that he used all the existing mechanics in Gen 1 without adding anything new to make a torturous, horrible, annoying, hard as steel Pokemon game is absolutely mind-blowing. The little things that are in this game, the little like flavor designs, all like the trainer classes having Pokemon that are still appropriate to them despite also being really hard. Koga having a Mr. Mime because it puts up the invisible walls, but everything like the flavor still being second to how hard this game is, and just everything being like as annoying and frustrating as possible. Some of the routes in that game and their design, like I remember, I don't know if we can get footage of this, but I remember the path over to Seafoam Islands from Koga, and the way that was designed with like cut trees in your way, and you had to like the way that the rocks were set up. So like basically there was like 4 different paths that you could take, and 3 of them were wrong, and they were like spaced out in this perfect way where the vision would not be enough for you to see over when you took the wrong path, if the one next to it would be right. Like just these little things to make the game so goddamn annoying. I love this game. I think it's the best ROM hack of all time, and I would recommend that nobody play it. Because unless you're as like crazy as me about Nuzlocking, it's not going to be fun for you whatsoever. I love this game more than anything. I just don't recommend it to anyone. But the way that the battle mechanics in this game worked out too, with the enemy AI cheating, like him moving after you, predicting all of your moves, and the enemy having infinite PP, which is 2 things that are in Gen 1 already, makes it so, and like the super high crit rate and everything, makes it so that like stalling, even though I used items in this Nuzlocke, stalling was just not a legitimate strategy, and you had to play offensive. And I love that. You had to go for like those high roll crits and play super aggressive, and God, just the difficulty curve and everything in that game is so goddamn perfect. And I think no ROM hack maker, including SHF himself, has ever gotten close to making such a uniquely difficult Pokemon experience. All right, moving on. The sequel of Blue Kaizo, Crystal Kaizo, is made by the same person with the same concept, but the problem is the gameplay thing that I mentioned about Blue Kaizo is no longer present. Enemy now have limited PP, they can't predict your moves anymore, and most importantly, you get like insane stall potential, right? You have Wobbuffet with healing items, you have Shuckle with healing items. The game is so hard that it's impossible to beat without using items, but the problem is if you use items, you just end up doing stall strats. The highlights for Crystal Kaizo are also up here on YouTube. And if you go watch them, most of the boss fights are just toxic stalling and PP stalling out opponents with like switch manips and stuff like that. That just ends up being the best strategy in Crystal Kaizo, and it's not that good because of that. It's a fun experience. It's also just not that hard because of it. It's much, despite like being conceptually similar to Blue Kaizo, it's just not as hard. It's also so goddamn long, and it's based on Gen 2. There's just so many issues. It's made with the same spirit and everything, but like the context in which it exists doesn't allow it to be as good as it could be. I still think it's a genius game. I just think that SHF should have put more effort into balancing it so that stall isn't like the only way to beat it. So I can't put it higher than B tier. Honestly, it might actually be C tier. Emerald Kaizo, I haven't finished yet. We've played it up to the 6th gym at this point. It's so fun. It's definitely an S tier game. The thing that fascinates me about Emerald Kaizo, which is why I kind of wonder about Crystal Kaizo, Emerald Kaizo is so well balanced. There's a huge variety of Pokemon you can use in the early game, and they're all kind of viable in their own way. Nothing is like completely useless. Despite you getting trash encounters throughout the entire game, the enemy having amazing encounters, it never feels like there's something that's completely unbeatable, at least up to the 6th gym. Maybe I'll feel differently about this game once we go through with it. The only criticism I have is like everything in the mid game having Lumberry, so like stat induction strategies are like useless. But Emerald Kaizo has so many cool encounters. It's got so many fun Pokemon to use. It's just as hard, I would say, as Blue Kaizo, if not actually much harder. You can't use items in this game, for example, right? That's a huge thing. I wish Crystal Kaizo would have been balanced around the same thing. So far, from everything I've seen from the early and mid game, it's super well balanced. It's super fun. But it's so incredibly hard, and again, I can't recommend it. It also doesn't have some of the cool like little overworld quirks that Blue or Crystal Kaizo had. For example, when the first time you would go on a route, you would have to jump a ledge, and then you couldn't go back, and you would have to fight every trainer on that route before returning, right? I love that about the Kaizo games, by the way, is that they force you to fight pretty much every trainer in the game. I think that's a much better way than putting optionals in the game, and I wish more ROM hacks did that and balanced around that. It also makes, like, if you're playing with level caps, it means that you have to do much more, like, experience management and stuff like that. The encounter design in Emerald Kaizo is just phenomenal. It's so good. Moving on, we have one of our favorite little games. I actually haven't finished this game yet either. I'm pretty sure we got to the 6th gym or something in this game. Pokemon Dark Rising. Oh my god, this game. If you go back and watch my highlights of this run on YouTube, there's a lot of things that stand out. It's not an enhancement hack. It's a custom game, custom story, custom map. But goddamn is it awful. The balance in this game is so terrible. The level curve is garbage. Grinding is so horribly unoptimized, and you have to do so much of it. You get the same encounters every single run because it puts the same OP static Pokemon everywhere. Garchomp as a starter, Intimidate Archeops, but you need to pick those because your enemies use pseudo-legendaries by like the 3rd gym. So, because of the way the level curve works and everything. Not to mention the absolute hilariously cringy writing in this game. The story was written by a 13-year-old and it's exactly how it plays. And so is the dialogue. It's so goddamn funny, and honestly, it adds actually a little bit of entertainment value. It's also just broken. Like, there's a lot of bugs and glitches in the game. A lot of the scripts don't work properly and all that. It's a horribly put together ROM hack. Never finished it, so hey, maybe the end game of this game is really good. I'm never gonna know because I'm never touching this game again. It's a huge pain in the ass to Nuzlock. Go check out my playthrough, I guess, if you want to at least see the funny dialogue moments, but stay as far away from this game as you possibly can. Way too many rivals, way too many self-insert characters, way too many evil teams, and the story is so cringe. Speaking of cringe self-insert shit, Pokemon Neo X is like an enhancement hack of Pokemon X that adds a little bit of dialogue to the game, and all of it is hyper cringe. It's so funny. I think this is the worst enhancement hack that I've ever played. The balancing is horrible. It's super lazily made. Like, a lot of trainers were just forgotten to be changed. None of the boss fights are super interesting. Some of the double battles, I guess, are cool, but the encounter variety isn't even that interesting. Grinding is horrible. Like, absolute complete, the worst grinding in any Pokemon game I've ever had to do. It's not fun. It's not interesting. I heard Eternal X Wilting Y is better. Maybe those are good, but Neo X and Y, the type changes in this game, the changes to Pokemon, there's so many, and they're all so stupid and make no sense. Every other Pokemon suddenly is a fairy type for some reason. Every Pokemon has to have its types changed and everything. It's so overboard. It's so there's no restraint, and in some points, and then other points there's just no effort put in whatsoever. And it needed to go through 17 more iterations to be a decent ROM hack. It's not as bad as Dark Rising though. It had at least a few interesting fights and stuff. Pokemon Insurgence is the other non-enhancement hack fan game on this tier list. And honestly, if you're watching this and you're looking for a cool ROM hack to play, you're probably gonna enjoy Insurgence. A lot of what I say about Insurgence, by the way, is also going to apply to Radical Red, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Another game that I haven't quite finished yet. I just got past the 6th gym on stream. YouTube videos for that are coming soon, probably. Insurgence adds a ton of features. Everything, all Gen 7 mechanics. It's a whole custom story, custom region. It adds new forms for Pokemon, new megas. It adds so many features. And honestly, they're surprisingly good. The Delta forms are surprisingly cool. The new megas are surprisingly cool. Nothing is horribly imbalanced. My problem with Insurgence is very similar to my problem with Radical Red. If you're Nuzlocking it and trying to play as good as possible on the hardest rule set with not using items, using set mode, blah blah blah, no items in battle, no over leveling the next gym leader, which Radical Red forces, by the way. When you're doing all that, Insurgence just becomes this boss rush mode, right? It's a very long game with a ton of boss fights in them, and there's nothing in between them. None of the routes are interesting. Oh god, the story of Insurgence is so cringe. I'm sorry. Dark Rising was written by a 13-year-old, that's fine. My problem with Insurgence is that it takes itself incredibly seriously and implies in the text of the game that it's way cooler than other Pokemon games, but the problem is it's just as cringy. One of the first lines of dialogue in this game is a character saying completely unironically, "You're not even my real dad." And I think that tells you everything you need to know about this game's story and dialogue. It's incredibly unnecessarily edgy, so completely out of... It takes itself way too seriously. The jokes don't land at all for me. It's got a lot of really cool features, and I think you should check it out. I just didn't like the boss rush nature of because of all the features that it has, kind of like what I was talking about with Renegade Platinum. You can change your natures, your EVs, the abilities on every Pokemon. So to play optimally, what you end up doing is, okay, what's the next boss fight? Time to optimize my team and their EVs and their natures and their abilities and their movesets for that for 6 hours. And once I'm done with that, I'll do a boss fight, and then I'll go back, reorganize a new team. Because you can grind for free too. There's auto trainers and shit you can just grind on in all these games. And it just makes reorganizing your team so free that you have to super plan out, because there's so much shit to get, so many features, so many different movesets you can use on your Pokemon, that Insurgent specifically is just this way too long boss rush mode of a game. And I wish, if you're gonna if I want to play a game like that, I wish there was a ROM hack out there that was just Pokemon Stadium style, just battles. Here's all the tools, here's all the Pokemon, here's all the EVs you can set, here's all the moves. make a team for it, good luck. And that's just the game. And there's no routes, no story in between. That would be a cool game. But yeah, like this, it's just like boss fights, and everything else feels like a waste of time in between. And that's how I feel about Insurgents, which is why I'm gonna put it in C tier. However, it's like the opposite of Blue Kaizo. I really don't like this game, but I highly recommend that you go play it. Pokemon Radical Red is very similar to Insurgents. Like I said, I haven't finished it yet. I'm not sure what the late game is like, but I think it's pretty much on that level, except it doesn't have the entertainment value of the super cringy story. And like it doesn't have all the creativity behind like making like the new region and stuff, which is why I'm going to put it in low C tier here as well. So far. It has a lot of really cool features, up to Gen 8 mechanics. It's basically Pokemon Fire Red, but it has up to Gen 8 mechanics. And a lot of cool new stuff added, even new megas added and everything. There's raid battles. It's very impressive on a technical level, and I respect that. I just think for my Nuzlocke experience, it's not good. It's another game that I think I hate, but I think you will really like if you go play it as like a casual player. And then lastly, we have Pokemon Red Battle Factory, which is literally just Pokemon, like a Battle Factory mode for Pokemon Red. It's just a ROM you load up and you're in the Battle Factory, but it's Gen 1. Like the Battle Factory and the Battle Frontier in Emerald, but it's Gen 1, so you play with rental Pokemon, you can fight bosses. It's a cute little hack, nothing special, nothing too cool. It's like a cool proof of concept. Again, I like these ROM hacks that are just like not traditional like Pokemon adventures, but just like little cool different things, kind of like Fire Red VR missions. This is a cool game. You should check it out. It's Gen 1, so the rental Pokemon variety is just not as high, but this was a fun little game to play. That's all the ROM hacks that I've played. That's like my recommendations. This is how much I like them. I guess I told you whether or not I recommend them individually. Let me know down in the comments about how wrong I am about all these, and also make sure to recommend some other games that you think we should play on this channel. If you're like a new ROM hack creator, maybe take some of these concepts and try to work something out. I really, really like ROM hack games that are just not just traditional Pokemon games, but like try to do something completely different with the game. I think that's really cool. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscription button, outro, call to action, your percentages, subscription. You're not, hit the bell. Bye.